Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am going to give the recap of round 2 of the Sinquefield Cup. It is the final event before the final of Grand Chess Tour. Today was a terrific day where there was a lot of back and forth battles. The first game is of Gukesh and Norderbeck, both of whom lost their first rounds. Gukesh is generally known for coming back stronger after losing a game. Gukesh plays white and the game starts with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. It's the Rui Lopez, the most analyzed opening in chess. The game goes on with a6, bishop a4, knight x c4. This is the open Rui Lopez. Now d4, b5, bishop b3, d5, dx c5, bishop e6, knight b d2. Here Gukesh threatens knight x c4 followed by knight g5 and bishop trade to get free pawns. This is all theory. The game goes with knight c5, c3, d4, bishop c2. Now we are out of the book moves. Here Gukesh baits Norderbeck to take on c3, leaving Gukesh with two isolated pawns, but it's actually better for white here since white has clear plans like queen e2, rook d1 and knight g5 in future. Norderbeck responds with the best move d3 and bishop goes to b1. Just look at these guys' time. They are still in their opening prep. Norderbeck goes queen d5 attacking e5. Gukesh defends with rook. Like an absolute giga chad, Norderbeck long castles despite the queen side completely open. Gukesh goes knight g5 sacrificing his pawn. He is still in his some sort of championship prep. Norderbeck is out of his prep though and takes the free pawn. Gukesh plays the only move to justify his pawn sacrifice, a4. Norderbeck goes bishop d6 which is a mistake. Finally, Gukesh is out of his prep. The position is very tactical. Like there is a crazy line here. Knight x a4, bishop a2, queen d6, bishop x c6, fx c6, rook x c5, which looks good since white can fork the queen and rook. But after queen takes rook and knight f7, there is an amazing move queen a2 and white is completely lost with lack of coordination. Anyways, the game continues ax b5, ax b5. Somehow, the squares near black king are quite well covered. Gukesh thinks for 27 minutes and goes bishop a2 and here Norderbeck plays knight c4 which is a mistake. Apparently he had to go queen c6. The position is very rich in tactics. Gukesh calculates for another 20 minutes and plays b4 and Norderbeck responds with knight to d7. What Gukesh had to find here was knight x c6, fx c6, bishop x c4, bx c4, rook a5, queen c6, queen g4 attacking on e6, c4 and g7. But Gukesh misses queen g4 and plays bishop x c4, bx c4, rook a5, queen c6, knight df3. This mistake brings Norderbeck back in the game and he plays the best move bishop d5, potentially threatening to create double isolated pawns on f-file once knight on g5 leaves. Gukesh now plays a series of only moves, knight d5 followed by be3, black cannot capture on g2 since f3 traps the bishop. The game continues with h6, knight gf3, knight b6. Here Gukesh had to go queen a1, doubling on a-file and then knight b5, creating pressure on black's position. But Gukesh plays a mistake and goes knight d2. Norderbeck still can't take on g2 since queen g4 is a check and bishop dies. So Norderbeck plays a prophylactic move h5 which loses the advantage. He had to go king b8 stopping any infiltration of rook or just simply go rook e8. The game is so dynamic that the tactics are flying all around. Gukesh goes knight b5. Norderbeck thinks for 20 minutes now and responds with bishop c6 which is a mistake. Now Gukesh had knight x g6, rook x g6, rook x h5 simply winning a pawn, but he misses it and instead goes knight a2 check, king b8, knight x c6 check, queen x c6, knight f3. It's worth noting that now capturing the free pawn is bad since black easily gains control by knight b5 and f5 f6. Gukesh goes knight f3. Norderbeck brings rook. Gukesh goes knight d5. Here black queen had to stick around the king and play queen b7. But Nodebek plays queen e4, relying on the pin on bishop since it can't move forward. Gukesh plays b5. Nodebek plays king b7, which is a big mistake. Gukesh finds the best move knight c6. Here if black plays rook a8, then rook x8, rook x8, bishop x b6 and black loses a piece. If black plays rook d7, then bishop d2 and black can't save the e8 rook. So the only move here was queen d5, which Nodebek found. Gukesh takes rook and Nodebek is an exchange down. But the position is still close to equal because of black c4 and d3 pawns. In fact, the engine didn't even prefer to trade knight for rook. It wanted something like rook a7 check followed by queen a1 and doubling on a file. Now, Gukesh plays queen a1, Nodebek goes king b8 avoiding a7 check. Gukesh plays queen a2 to triple upon a file, but it's a mistake and black is better now. Nodebek goes rook e8 pinning the bishop and threatening bishop c5. Gukesh finds the only move queen d2. Here Nodebek plays rook e4 trying to go rook h4 but loses his advantage. Gukesh finds the best move rook back to a1. Nodebek plays a huge mistake h4. Gukesh finds the winning sequence knight x b6, cx b6, rook x c4, queen x c4, but here Gukesh had to go queen e1, trading the queens. And after that, the black king was far away and white king was right on time to prevent the promotion of d-pawn. But Gukesh was in time pressure and plays a no-risk move queen a2 just before making the time control and gaining extra 30 minutes to think. He still has an advantage, but it's no more winning. Nodebek plays king c8, which again gives Gukesh a winning advantage straight away if he finds queen a6 check followed by queen x b5, and he finds it. Now, Nodebek plays the final mistake queen e5, targeting c3 pawn. Gukesh finds the winning sequence queen c6 check, king e7, g3, preventing queen infiltration. Nodebek goes d2 and Gukesh captures on c4. Nodebek plays queen e1 check and Gukesh simply goes queen f1. The game is completely over. And now Nodebek resigns. This game was entertainment. But you know what? Alireza vs Duda was an absolute cinema. This game too had the same open Roy Lopez opening. The difference was here where black directly played b5. And then game went as c3, bishop c5, knight b d2, castle. In this setup, black already has dark squared bishop developed and eyes on f2 pawn. Alireza plays bishop c2 and Duda proceeds to give the knight and bishop for Alireza's rook, which is bad usually, but over here it is decent enough since black can generate some quick counterplay on f-file due to their active development. Duda goes f6. Alireza plays knight f1 sacrificing a pawn. This game seems to break all traditional rules of chess, but yes, the rules are meant to be broken, but only when the people breaking them are high rated. Duda captures the pawn and then king goes back to g1. Duda seems to justify his plan of trading two pieces for rook since he now has complete control over center, and the only practical hope for Alireza is to make the game complex by attacking on g and h files. Now Duda pins the knight to queen. Alireza plays knight e3, accomplishing the knight maneuver. Duda plays h6 pawn break to open his rook. Alireza had to first take the pawn and then go bishop b3 for reasons I don't know, but he directly goes bishop b3, which engine calls a mistake. Duda takes on b4. At this point, Alireza completely froze and spent 40 minutes calculating and evaluating. Here, instead of capturing the b pawn, Alireza played multi-purpose move knight takes d5. It can create some discovered attacks on the bishop, which is lined up to the king. Also with that, Alireza opens up the dark squared bishop and can go knight g5, pressing the bishop even more and opening up the queen. Duda plays the only move king h8, avoiding any pin and win for white. Alireza plays bishop e3 to open up the rook and maybe looking to go to c5. Duda captures on c3 and is now 2 pawns up. Now Alireza had to take the pawn back, but he chooses to attack directly by playing knight g5. Duda finds the only move to keep the advantage and plays bishop g8. Alireza blunders by playing queen h5. At this point, Alireza had 6 minutes, while Duda had 54 minutes on the clock. They are still 18 moves away from reaching the new time control. Now, what is going to unfold in front of your eyes is absolute brilliance under time pressure. The straight away winning move for Duda was knight d4. He threatened taking the white bishop, after which the pawn cannot recapture the knight since it is pinned to the rook on a8. If Alireza moves his rook, then knight takes the bishop, followed by pushing c2 and taking the free knight. If white directly captures the knight on d5, then black gets very strong connected passed pawns. But Duda misses it and plays h6, after which he still has a good advantage, but not a winning one. Alireza plays knight e4. Now, here is the most insane move sequence you would ever see in a chess game. The winning sequence for Duda was c2, rook c1, bishop x d5, bishop x h6 sacrifice, which black cannot accept since then queen h6 followed by queen g6, then knight g5, and black is forced to sacrifice the queen. So after sacrifice, the only move queen e8 to trade the queens. White goes queen g5, black's only move queen e7, then bishop x d5, queen x g5, bishop x g5, and then only move knight d4 protecting the c pawn. But Duda miscalculated all of this and played bishop x d5 first, which is a draw because bishop x h6, queen e8, queen g4, queen e7, bishop x d5, queen x g5, bishop x g5, and now there is no time to push the c pawn since the knight is hanging and is pinned to the rook. Now what actually happened in the game after bishop x d5 was bishop x h6, queen e8, queen g5, queen e7, bishop x d5, and now Duda plays rook a d8, which is a huge mistake because now white can play queen h5. There is no queen e8 now since white can take the queen followed by taking the knight and attacking the rook, and white will simply be up material. So instead of going queen e8, Duda takes on h6, queen x h6 check, queen blocks, and then Alireza takes knight. Now the knight and bishop odds for a rook can be felt on Duda since all black pawns are vulnerable and white is very well coordinated. Both the players are in time pressure now and 11 moves away from gaining the additional 30 minutes. Duda here plays a trick by playing c2. Queen can't capture it and it threatens rook d1 check, making a new queen. Alireza, who has been very clinical so far, again plays the only move bishop b3, stopping the queen promotion. From here on, it was just a slow maneuvering conversion in the endgame by Alireza. Just see this beautiful slow and steady grind. Alireza is proving here why he is known as one of the best fast time control players in the world. Here, since Alireza was slow on time, Duda hopes that Alireza might fumble in the knight bishop checkmate. So he continues the game on and on. But Alireza methodically and effortlessly converted it. Now when there was a forced mate, Duda resigned on move 100. It was truly a master class from Alireza. First getting into time pressure and losing position, and then from there winning the game so clinically. It was absolutely mind-blowing and fabulous. Another interesting matchup which was there was between Pragnananda and Fabiano Caruana. That game was a Sicilian defense and it was very tactical in the opening. But soon in the middle game, the pieces got traded and it went towards a smooth draw. The other two games were between Wesley So and MVL and Levan Aronian versus Sam Savian. Both of them ended in a draw. With this, I take a leave. I will come back the next day again to give the round 3 recap. Bye bye.